Been catching up with editing this morning. So, it's about midday, I'm gonna go hit the gym. Meant to be rest day, but I'm starting to implement some conditioning work, and I'll probably do a little bit of arm stuff and kind of like an active rest day. Yeah, also I'll be increasing that caloric expenditure just a little bit to elicit that fat loss. And I feel a little bit unfit kind of athletically, so I want to get a bit of sort of more conditioning work in. Try and challenge myself a little bit more. Cheeky little conditioning and kind of turned into a little bit of a arm session, just because, well, my noodles suck and I wanted to get a little pump on. But yeah, it's a good little conditioning session. Main conditioning part was some rower sprints. I was doing 30 seconds on, 30 seconds rest, trying to hit 150 meters per 30 seconds all out sprint. Tough. I've done 5 rounds of that, so nice, like easy kind of breaking me into some conditioning stuff, as well as a little bit of metabolic kind of circuit training in a way with these weight training bits I was doing. So nice and easy. Good little session. Back down Ironworks. Great little gym. Just eaten, going to just sit in the sun for 10-15 minutes, just kind of clear the hair before getting clear the head. Clearly the hair is getting to my head. But yeah, just clear the head before doing some work this afternoon. It's turned out a pretty decent day. Okay, so one of the biggest questions I get asked is, do you need to do cardio for fat loss? Now, often when I'm taking a client and their goal is fat loss, I start them off with no cardio. So all their plan is start tracking their nutrition and we hit the resistance training. Before we look into this, I'm terming kind of cardio as like an umbrella, so any kind of conditioning work, anything that's kind of aside from basic resistance training, so lifting weights, that kind of thing. So cardio is everything that is dedicated to moving, but isn't just kind of the daily activity. So if you were to kind of specifically go out for a power walk, we could term that cardio. One thing that people always seem to forget is that you do just need to be generally active. So there's this thing called NEAT, N-E-A-T, which is non-activity exercise thermogenesis. Now this is all of the activity that you kind of generally do through the day. So walking to work, walking around to the fridge, back home, all of that kind of thing. Just fidgeting. Anything that is movement that's not linked to exercise. To live a healthy life, we want to make sure that we're doing this kind of thing and trying to move around as much as possible and not just kind of sit down, sit in front of the sofa, watching Netflix, playing like PlayStation. We want to be as active as possible. Now, does cardio burn fat? Yes, to a degree. Now, what we mean when we term it burn fat is actually the oxidization of fat, which is in a way our body releasing and using using stored fat for fuel. Now, there are kind of multiple pathways of energy within the body. Obviously, using fat is one of them. It happens at a low activity level. So when we're sitting here doing like different things, this is going to be utilizing fat because it's a slow, for a better kind of term, a slow burning fuel. When we're training hard in the gym, we're using stored or ingested glycogen, so carbohydrates basically. So really anything we do burns fat, but if you want to lose fat, you need to be in a caloric deficit. So whether this is through your training, so your exercise or nutrition, doesn't really matter. The point being is that you're in a caloric deficit, so you are consuming less calories than you are expending. So there is this deficit where your body needs to use more fuel than it's got basically. So it's going to utilize body stores, so either like stored glycogen, muscle and fat. So you can burn fat or use fat without having to do cardio, but this doesn't mean that it's not a useful tool. I mean, if you are someone that really loves food, then you can add some cardio work to increase that caloric expenditure, so you don't have to drop your calories as low to create that deficit. But you don't need to introduce it right at that beginning phase when you still have a lot of capacity to drop your caloric intake just slightly, start tracking things, create a nice stable base for you to start losing fat. It's one of the big mistakes I see a lot of people do. As soon as that thing in their head says to them, I need to start losing fat, there's something else that goes, cardio. There's nothing magic about cardio. There's nothing inherently bad about a little bit of it, but preferentially I like to keep some kind of stable base of conditioning work within my resistance training sessions and then just use cardio as a tool. Like now I'm starting to increase it a little bit to add in when we need, when we don't want to drop calories any more than they are already. So we can just use the cardio to increase our caloric expenditure opposed to having to drop it. So cardio can be used, can be useful, some circumstances, not always necessary. If you want to lose fat, start tracking your nutrition. Start working hard in the gym. Assess and make sure you've got a nice consistent base, create a caloric deficit, and you will start losing fat. All this talk about cardio, I need to get some more steps in for today. So how can I spend this time telling you that cardio isn't exactly necessary for fat loss and then be like, oh, I'm gonna go off walking? The thing is, I have a very, very sedentary job. Yes, I go out and train. A lot of the time I'm sitting writing content, writing programs for my clients and doing sort of check-ins and obviously editing these videos, doing things for social media, replying to people, all that kind of thing. So a lot of the time I don't get much movement throughout the day unless I've got anything specific going on. So I try and hit a kind of target of 8,000 to 10,000 steps per day, which is a nice kind of round target of just steps. So I'm not exerting myself. Some days I don't have to go out for walks, I hit it. Some days I go way past that. But it's just a kind of nice base of security for me for my daily kind of need. The other thing about getting out and walking is the effects it has on sort of mental state. You're out in fresh air, you can just think about things, listen to a podcast, just do nothing, just clear your mind, think over all your stresses or your worries, and just be with yourself, or if you're walking with someone else, you obviously be with them. Gonna end the vlog there, gonna head home, get some food, and finish off the day with some editing and probably chill. If you liked the video, don't forget to click the subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, and I'll catch you later.